This year my goal is to juggle one more club, one more ring, and one more ball than I've ever juggled before. That's 8 clubs, 10 rings, and 12 balls. I'm going to flash 30. And the twist is that I plan to do all 3 new records on one day only. That means on the first day that I ever flash 8 clubs, I'm also going to flash 10 rings for the first time and get 12 balls for the first time on camera before midnight that same day. But I don't know when that day will be, so I've got to be ready with all 3 props when the time comes. To do that, I'm going to use my design and engineering skills to create number-specific props. I'm going to investigate new juggling techniques, and I'm going to take a healthy and patient approach to training to avoid burnout and injury. I'm excited for this project. I hope you are too. Stay tuned for more updates on Project Flash 30. This year my goal is to juggle one more club, one more ring, and one more ball than I've ever juggled before, and that means 8 clubs. And I've never tried 8 clubs before, except for this one time when I did a multiplex, but multiplexes don't count. My baseline is 7 clubs. Back in 2005, I performed with 7 clubs a few times, and if you see this footage, you realize I'm not throwing the first one with my hand, instead kicking it up with my toe. And the reason I did that isn't to have an impressive trick in the show, it's because I just really disliked training with 7 clubs, mostly because it put a lot of strain on my wrist and on my arm, and I just didn't like holding and launching 4 clubs from one hand. So over the next 20 years, I barely practiced 7 clubs, only enough to get to like 14 catches, but never more than that. Until the NJF last year, when I borrowed a set of lightweight clubs with carbon fiber cores, and it felt like I was juggling 5. It put so much less strain on my hands, and I thought I'm gonna have to make myself a set of lightweight clubs, 7 of them, but if I'm making 7, why not 8? So I can flash 8 clubs, and then I'll flash 10 rings and 12 balls. I'm gonna flash 30. This year my goal is to juggle one more club, one more ring, and one more ball than I've ever juggled before. That means flashing 10 rings, which I've never even attempted. And the reason is because I hate launching 4 rings from one hand and the strain it puts on the fingers. Whenever I do 7 rings, I do the same as the Chian brothers with 9 rings. I put 1 in my mouth. I make it into a comedy moment in my show, but I don't do it for that reason. I do it because I don't want to develop calluses from launching 4 rings in one hand. Whenever I've wanted to flash 8 rings in the past, I'd just put 2 rings in my mouth, but that approach doesn't scale well. Of course, the Chian brothers do 10 rings that way with a weird 4 ring in each hand grip between the fingers, but I don't want to learn that grip. I'm going to go in a different direction, and that is ring holsters. I made some basic holsters last year. On the first day I tested them, I landed 9 rings. On the second day, I qualified 8 rings for the first time ever. However, the holster design wasn't very good, and for many reasons, I abandoned them before ever attempting 10 rings. But this year, I'm going to design and build a new ring holster specifically for 10. And when I flash 10 rings, I'll also flash 8 clubs and 12 balls. Yep, I'm going to flash 30. This year my goal is to juggle one more club, one more ring, and one more ball than I've ever juggled before, and that means a 12-ball flash on video. Years ago I got good enough at 10 balls to perform it on stage, so that's a good start. I did 11 balls for the first time in 2001, and then I got it on video the next year, back when I was still young and skinny. I started working on 12 balls seriously in 2002, but my skinny body found it too physically demanding, and I strained myself multiple times. Only when I did a full-time circus acrobatics course did I build up enough muscles to try 12 without hurting myself, and I got it. I wasn't filming at the time. What I'm showing now is a fake record I made previously as an April Fool's joke. But I thought, no problem, I'll just do 12 balls again and video it like I did with 11. And that was 22 years ago. Whenever I've tried it since, I've had the same issue. My body letting me down before I get it, and then quickly losing motivation. But this year, I'm going to take training seriously, and I'm going to work on the skills without straining my body, and I'm going to get 12 balls on camera, and then I'm going to flash 8 clubs and 10 rings. I'm going to flash 30. This year my goal is to juggle one more club, one more ball, and one more ring than I've ever juggled before, and 10 rings means ring holsters, in the style of Anthony Gatto or Sergei Ignatov. The juggling rocket launch equation tells me I can reduce the energy required by 35% per attempt if I use ring holsters, and if I have holsters that can hold 2 rings for each hand, I can reduce the energy by 62% per attempt, and I'm a big fan of that decrease of strain on my fingers, hands, and body. Both jugglers who have juggled 13 rings, Daniel Lysenko and Albert Lucas, used a similar ring holster design with the rings beside the body. However, from my testing last year, I didn't find the variable height of the rings intuitive, and their position by the hips hindered my synchronous throwing technique. So this year I'm going to test out variations on the holster design used by Willie Colombioni, with the rings in front of his, well, let's say in front of his body and not hanging from the hips. It's not a visually pleasing design, but Willie performs with 10 rings on stage with 2 rings in the holster, and with 4 rings in the holster, he holds the 12-ring world record. I'm going to update the structure and positioning of the Willie holster, but I can tell you now it's not going to look pretty. No problem though, because I'm putting aside all aesthetic considerations in my plan to flash 30. To help guide my design of a ring holster for 10 rings, I recorded some template videos. I flashed 5 in my right hand while holding 2 of the rings ready in my left hand, shot from multiple angles to see where the holster should be positioned. Compared to Willie's holster, I want mine quite a bit higher, in front of my belly, not in front of my thighs. And the side view shows I want the rings out in front of my body, not tucked in close to my crotch. I also tested 2 in the hand and 3 in the holster, or 3 in the hand and 2 in the holster, and I decided I want a holster that could do both or either if needed. So I got to work on the prototype. I used a GoPro chest mount, some aluminium struts and straps to hold everything secure. Then I 3D printed some slots to hold the rings. The prototype looks very ugly and it's super unflattering, but remember, I'm not concerned about aesthetics for this project. And it worked great, certainly as well as I'd hoped. I think I'm going to call it the belly holster, not the Willie holster, and once it helps me flash 10 rings, I'm going to flash 8 clubs and 12 balls. I'm going to flash 30. Okay, here we go. Prototype design, which just grips the club. New design, which nestles it, cradles the club. Important jiggle test. Imagine I'm doing lots of throws really quickly, and this jiggles around like this. I think we have a winner. My goal this year is to juggle 1 more ring, 1 more ball and 1 more club than I've ever juggled before. That's 10 rings, 12 balls and 8 clubs. Today I plan to flash all 30 props, just 1 hand at a time. I tested out the ring holster, got 5 in each hand. 6 balls in my right hand worked great, 6 in my left took a lot longer, and I never caught the last ball in my left hand without stopping it against my chest. I'd also never tried 4 clubs in my left hand before, so I was very pleased with how it went on my first ever attempt. I mean, it wasn't in control. Gonna do 4 in a row. I've literally never tried this now. I realized I'm bleeding through again. Blood on my clubs. I'm stopping with the clubs. My goal this year is to flash 8 clubs, which means 4 in one hand. I put my hand on top. Gotta catch it in the hand. And I've been training hard to only use one hand and not use my other hand to help catch at the end. Oh, finally. I've been training with my custom 3D printed super lightweight clubs. They're about 150 grams each with a carbon core. They've got a hyperboloid handle profile, which makes training with them a lot more easy than standard clubs. So I'm building up to 4 in one hand and 2 in the other. 6 club flash. Then today, Juliana joined me for training, so I tried 4 in one hand and 3 in the other. Yeah. That's technically a 7 club flash. Yes. No, it doesn't count. This one has to catch that. I caught it in this hand. That's the best one yet. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely the best one yet. Even though at the end I went like that. But it still looked best. It was the best one yet. Yeah. To flash 10 rings, I need a ring holster, and today I tested it with 9 ring flashes. I got it 4 or 5 times, but this was the only good one on camera. The juggling worked out well, but the ring holster didn't. It's a pretty hostile environment under a messy 9-ring flash. You see, at the same time as I'm practicing with the holster, I'm also learning about 3D printing. I'm learning about the strength of different materials and print settings, and I'm learning it all the hard way.
Each time one of these brackets breaks, it takes another 3 hours to print out the stronger replacement part. I just want to get through one juggling session without having to fix it or change the design yet again. After giving up on the ring practice, I switched to the lightweight hyperboloid clubs, which were a better design success. I worked on 7 clubs in an 8-club pattern until I got a clean flash where all the clubs ended up in the right place, the right way round. I'm planning to juggle 30 props in one day, so to see how close I am, I decided to flash 27 props in one training session. 9 rings in a 10-ring pattern took only 7 attempts without even a warm-up, so that feels pretty solid. I moved on to 7 clubs in an 8-club pattern, and I got something without any drops on my 3rd try.
Does that count?
I carried on for a few more minutes until I caught everything clean, if not in the correct hands.
I'm going to take that one just because they were all the way around. Now, 11 balls.
Then came 11 balls in a 12-ball pattern, and I didn't get anywhere close, even though I spent more than an hour drilling it over and over. I tried to keep my energy levels up, and I tried different patterns at different heights. In the end, all I accomplished was a growing sweat patch on the front of my t-shirt and a loss of focus and motivation.
I've been defeated by the 11 balls in the 12-ball pattern. It turns out that's probably just as hard as doing 12 balls, but just without one in my left hand. So it's my first defeat so far in the Flash 30 project.
This might look like failure. It might look like I'm just getting 10 out of an 11-ball flash and success would be catching all 11, but I'm actually learning a new technique. Up until now, I've just used fast hand speed to throw the first 2 balls, which is good enough for lower numbers, but with higher numbers it's not so efficient. I found that out the hard way a few days ago when drilling 11 balls in a 12-ball pattern for more than an hour and not making any progress. Then I saw Agnieszka launching 10 balls and she uses her knees to get the first few balls going. Eric Toll has the most extreme leg-based launch, and it seems to work for him with a synchronous 12-ball pattern, and I plan to use a synchronous 12-ball pattern. So here's a side-by-side of me from a few years ago and me from my last training session. Getting energy from my legs makes the first few throws much slower and easier on my whole body. Juliana dropped by, so I showed her the difference in technique.
So instead of this going,
Yeah.
I go.
Ah, right.
So it's like this.
That looked for a moment like
Yeah.
you would get it.
It looks good, doesn't it?
Oh, that was so close.
I know.
I didn't get an 11-ball flash, but the training session was a big success.
Oh, that would have been it.
Again.
Yes, of course again.
Now this looks like success. Near the end of my latest training session, I tried 11 balls again, and with a high enough ceiling and the updated launch technique, I got it clean. Earlier on in the session, I'd got 7 clubs in an 8-club pattern a number of times, and once I caught them perfectly clean, and I realized I could get redemption for last week's failed attempt of flashing 27 props in one session. So with 5 minutes left, I headed into Studio 2 to see if I could get 9 rings under the highest ceiling, and I got it, kind of. Why don't I look happy? Well, as you can see with the replay, the third last ring bounces out of my hand and it touches the ring holster before I trap it against my leg. Did the holster help with the catch? If so, this shouldn't count as a successful 9-ring flash, as I don't think you should be able to use assistive devices to help with the catching, even if you use something to help with the launch. So let me know in the comments if you think this should count, but I don't think so. It looks like another failure to me. This year my goal is to flash 10 rings, and for that I'm using a ring holster. I've been struggling quite a bit with the ring holster design and construction, the durability and its placement, but I've had a bit of a breakthrough with this design. It's not broken in a few training sessions, and last night I was trying it under a low ceiling, which meant I was trying to get 8 rings as low as possible, both in the synchronous pattern and in the asynchronous pattern. The idea here is that every single throw should look and feel exactly the same, no matter if the ring is coming out of the hand or if it's coming out of the ring holster first, and it was working really well. At the end of the training session, I decided to try 5 rings in one hand, and I got it, except the ring kind of went outside the frame of the video, so that doesn't count. So I've got to do it again, getting all of it inside the video frame, and it works perfectly. Of course, 10 rings will be probably quite a bit higher than that, but it's good to see the technique works with 5 rings even under such a low ceiling. This year my goal is to juggle one more ball, one more ring, and one more club than I've ever juggled before, and my stretch goal was to get all 3 new personal bests on the same day, but I've decided to change that time frame. On Sunday I was having a miserable time juggling at the Catacomb as it was too crowded and I couldn't find a peaceful place to juggle, but what was really getting me down was the unnatural pressure of trying to get 12 balls so early in a training session to leave me enough time to get 8 clubs and 10 rings later in that same session. I wanted to get 12 balls first, as I thought 8 clubs and 10 rings would be a gift to myself, a reward for getting the hardest number first, but it was becoming a frustration and not a motivation. I'd already done everything I could to be ready for 10 rings, except to actually try and flash 10 rings, and I'd previously worked on launching 8 clubs, but as soon as I got 7 out of 8 catches, I'd just stopped in case I got it too early.
I think that's as close as I want to get it.
8 clubs and 10 rings felt within my reach on Sunday, but I wasn't allowing myself the enjoyment of actually trying them, and that just sucked. Juggling is meant to be fun. So I decided on a new time goal. All 3 new personal bests in a single 24-hour period, allowing me to do serious attempts right up until the end of a juggling session, and then come back the next day to tick off anything outstanding. And as a gift to myself, the order doesn't matter. I can just do whatever feels best. This year my goal is to juggle one more ball, one more ring, and one more club than I've ever juggled before, and that means 8 clubs. I'd prefer to have caught all the clubs more gracefully, but I'm happy to say that I've now juggled
8 clubs. My first time flashing is a little gift to myself.
So this happened on Wednesday afternoon. I'd spent about 2.5 hours trying 10 rings and I needed a break, so I picked up the clubs. Previously I'd practiced launching 8 clubs maybe 10 or 15 times in total, so this was my first time seriously trying to get the flash for real. I assumed it was within my reach, and I proved myself correct by catching all 8 clubs after about 25 minutes of attempting it. Next time I'll try to catch them all cleanly in my hands, but for now I'm just happy to hit one of the Flash 30 goals with so little drama. At the time though, my thoughts immediately turned to other things.
Now I've got to decide, do I try 10 rings and 12 balls today? Who knows?
What I meant is, should I stay at Catapult for another 2 hours or save my energy and return the next morning? Because now the clock was ticking to get 10 rings and 12 balls within the next 23 hours and 59 minutes. Of course, I kept juggling, but what happened next is for another video. This year my goal is to juggle one more ball, one more ring, and one more club than I've ever juggled before, and that means 10 rings. I made my first attempts at 10 rings on Wednesday afternoon. I'd convinced myself that it would be the easiest of the 3 numbers juggling goals to reach, and that I'd get it in the first practice session I tried it. There was only space to juggle in Studio 1 at Catapult though, where the ceiling is a bit too low for 10 rings, but I thought I'd still manage it. After 2 hours of dropping, I took a 25-minute break from 10 rings, and in that break I flashed 8 clubs for the first time, disproving that 10 rings would be easier. I immediately got back to working on 10 rings, and I tried it late into the evening, but I ran out of energy just before Catapult was closing. So I returned the next morning, and I had about an hour in Studio 2 before the aerialist got started. The higher ceiling might seem like Studio 2 is more suited to 10 rings, but the ceiling is actually too dark, and I can't see the blue and red rings, only the white rings, which are much heavier and harder to both throw and catch. The change must have helped though, because back in Studio 1 I pretty soon landed a 10 ring flash for the first time. Not in the first session I tried it, but the second, and after about 5 hours of working on it in total. But I had no time to celebrate.
The plan works, which means that if I want to stick with this plan, I've got about 4 hours to get 12 balls for the first time, and then at least I can flash 30 within the same 24-hour period, which is as good as I'm going to get. Done 8 clubs, done 10 rings. I've now got 3.5 hours to get 12 balls for the first time on camera to be able to do the full Flash 30 project within the same 24 hours. See if I can do 12 balls.
Nope.
first one that felt even remotely good. And it's not even any good. Ah!
Nope. 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 Nope.
I think that's it. Technically, I've still got an hour's worth of juggling that I could do to get 12 balls, as well as the 10 rings and 8 clubs all within 24 hours. But I've been in this room juggling by myself alone, doing numbers juggling for about 8 to 9 hours in this time. And well, my body feels good. Fitness-wise, great. My brain just isn't there. And this 12 balls is just getting worse and worse. For the last 2 hours, it's been getting worse. So I think I'm going to call it a day. The Flash 30, trying to get it all in 24 hours, isn't going to happen. But the plus side is that now, the next time I go juggling, I can just take 12 balls and not have to take 8 clubs, a ring holster, and 20 rings I brought with me today, depending on which hall I have and which studio and what ceiling that I'm juggling against. So yeah, thanks for following along, and I'll see you in the next one.